Okay, if you want to introduce yourself, you can. Otherwise, Oh yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Jeet Kapoor. Thank God I'm not. You can get that. Hi everyone. We're introducing our next millennial debater, Iti Bhargava, and she has a bit of an upper hand on the others, I think. It already comes from a research background, so I don't know how that will pair with the others, but we will see. How are you? I'm good. How are you?
Yeah.
I could be better, but I'm good. So tell me, how are you feeling about the debate?
I'm really excited because my work is reading a lot of research papers, talking to psychiatrists and so it's so in the weeds that it'll be nice to get a bird's eye view of what are other people thinking,
Yes.
especially the generation part. I think that's something everyone talks about. Oh, young people are always depressed.
Yeah.
And it might be.
True. Yeah.
But I mean, find out.
Yeah. In terms of men's mental health, why do you think men's mental health matters to you personally?
So the non-technical version of the so I wrote a piece on this, which is called Cultivating Femininity as a Public Health Good.
Oh, nice.
The basis of all this is that the way that we've coded care and that we've coded things that are valuable to experience in life in general are usually feminine. So they're taking care of each other, relational memory, reaching out to someone when they're not their best, or seeking help because you're not feeling your best. All of these things have been coded as feminine.
Right.
And so what that does is it excludes a big population
Right.
away from this range of intimacy. So you're actually denying boys at a very young age from experiencing this, which you call gurney. You call it, it's man up.
Yeah.
And all of these deeply cultural ideas. I know I said this would be non-technical, but this is as far as I can go.
It's not that technical.
But yeah, so I think it's a gap in our training, in the way that fathers and mothers and aunts and uncles and sisters, we've taken on, especially women, this expectation of managing men's emotions.
Yeah.
I think it'll be easier for everybody if they manage their own,
and then sort of come as individual experience. In terms of how you see from your POV of this generation, millennial men, taking care of their mental health, what do you think? Is that being done?
I mean, I think living in Bangalore and, the kind of conversations we end up having, I think is certainly a bubble. But I think within that bubble, I think people are definitely getting more literate in mental health. I think it's a good first step.
Yeah.
I think the least we can do is move forward. Understanding these ideas of inclusivity, of vulnerability, of taking care of each other. Yeah. I mean, I think the men that I have luckily surrounded myself with are doing a great job. So in that bubble, I think we're moving forward, but there's lots to go.
Yeah. I think I've been saying that the conversations we are having currently are still in very much a bubble space. So as much as we can think it's a lot of progress, but it's not a lot of that. Which is why
miles to go.
Yes, miles to go. Obviously, that's true. Do you think if you said initially, there's a lot of the training initially where from the parents, both mothers, fathers, and of that. But if you look at it from the way relate to the previous generation, so Gen Z is relating to millennials relating to Gen X. Do you think the previous generations have given enough of a blueprint on how men can manage their own mental health?
No, I don't think there's a blueprint at all. I don't want to make a judgment of it because I think it was the context of the time that these gendered roles became like a sort of norm. A man's worth is measured by providing.
Yeah.
And that became the end. So no matter how you felt or what you felt, the way that we define ourselves was I'm worthy if I'm able to take care of my children, take care of my wife.
Value to someone rather than just be.
Yeah. So I think that definition was whatever contextually important then, but I think it's so much wider.
Yeah.
I think the way we talk about identity, and a lot of my work is with sense of self.
Yeah.
Expanding what it means for your worth. And you can just exist to be loved and cared for. You don't have to do anything. So I think a lot of the blueprint forward should be widening and building up those generations of, we didn't find care here. Our fathers couldn't explain that they loved us yet. And most of the way that we understand love is through service.
Yeah, acts of service,
Yeah. And I think as a generation...
Previous generation.
Yeah, exactly. So they're why don't you love you? We've done all this for you.
Yeah.
Why don't actions speak louder? We need words as well. Yeah. I think affirmations or whatever that is, building up. Not to say that I think you take accountability for like,
Yeah.
but you also must have done something that could have been better.
Yeah. Also get exposed to a different environment as
Yeah.
well. So you are also allowed to learn from different spaces.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to the debate.
I'm really looking forward to people communicating their personal journeys through this. So I think in mental health in general, it always becomes everybody's had some lived experience.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see this from a non-academic point of view.
Yeah.
And I think I'm excited to find like things that make sense or things I've never thought about.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Well, we'd have both men and women on this panel, as you can see. And we will see you on April 26th in Bangalore for the Generations Debate. If you will be there, I will be there, you will be there, and we will talk about men's mental health from a generation's perspective. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, that was great.